I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit a like. And what do I have here? I have a lecture to give on this upcoming Sunday on how to make a balance staff. So it's making me nervous as hell because I got to get it right and I got to make sure I bring all my tools with me. So I've got some plates here to sharpen engravers with. I'm going to bring with me. I've got a very nice sharpener here, graver sharpener. I'm bringing with me. I'm going to sharpen my gravers, but I've got a whack of different gravers, both triangular ones and ones that are kind of 2 millimeters on the end. I've got a lathe here. This is a Boley lathe. I've got 2 lathes I'm going to bring with me. I've got a Fordham foot pedal here. I got 2 foot pedals I'm going to bring with me. Hopefully nothing goes wrong with that. I've got a whole other lathe that I think is let me think, what type is this lathe? It's a peerless lathe. I'm going to bring that one with me. All the lathes have counter shafts, and they're all run on sewing machine motors, which I find is really good. You never know if you can break a belt or whatever, so I'm bringing a backup lathe with me, which is crazy. So I've got that. I'm going to bring a gauge with me for measurement of material, a pair of tweezers with me to make sure that I can pick up the material. I've already measured the stock, and there's a gentleman that's going to be working with me to actually do the removal of the balance staff from the whatever the hell it's called, from the balance staff, from the balance. Thank you very much. He told me that the diameter was 2.1, so the thickest diameter is 2.1. So I've picked up material here, and I've got this going all the way to the end here. I may just leave it in here crunched up because this is a 2.1 here, so which means I don't have to cut a lot off, and I'm just demonstrating how you actually cut a balance staff. I need to make sure I bring some Rodico with me, so I'll make sure I have some Rodico, and that's going to be necessary for a few things. One is holding the existing balance staff in place while I kind of do my measurements and do the cut. The initial cut being exactly where the balance will sit once it's friction fitted on for the first taper. So I'll be going through that process. You've seen me make balance staffs before on YouTube. I've put a lot of videos out there, so I need to bring a piece of Rodico with me. I got various types of glasses I can use. I can use these. I've got another pair of these with another area loop that's even stronger. I have double loops. I've got this, which I probably will end up using. It's the cheapest, but times 15 seems to be so far the best. And I have the setup is in the backup one is actually in a big, huge Pelican case with loops and glasses and everything in there. So I'm going to pack all this stuff up again, so I'm ready to do the work. So I've got, like I said, I've got the gravers that I'm going to sharpen today just to make sure they're sharp. And with me, I'm going to also bring my kit, and my kit has in it, let me just repoint the camera, live action camera pointing. So the kit here has, right here, it's got some graver holders. Right here, it's got some stones for carving the pivot. Plus, it has a pivot file. Let me open this up for a second and show you what I got. I've got a file that I use for a cutaway tool for cutting away the final part. I've got the Valarobe, I think Valarobe, yeah, Valarobe. It's a file on one side, and it is a burnisher on the other, so I'll show how that's used, even though I probably won't have time to finish the pivots for this lecture. And I've got a couple of stones. One is a ruby. This is a ruby stone. And this is an Arkansas stone, and I'm going to show how these are used as well. I probably won't bring any oil with me, although I'm a keener, so I might bring some oil with me. So I've got that, and I'll keep that in this case and just make sure I bring the whole case. I've got backup leather here with thread and fishing line in case I have to make another belt. I don't think I will, but I'll bring that with me anyway. The rest of it I probably don't need, but I'll bring the whole kit with me just to make sure, the whole kit and caboodle, to make sure that I've got everything I need with me. So that's this, and then I'm going to, what else am I going to do? So I've got this, I've got the backup, I've got this measured. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to need for this lecture, and I'll be able to cut the balance staff. I'll make the first cut being the one for the balance itself, and I'll be able to cut the main hub on this, which is 2-1. So I'll grade this down until I get to the actual diameter of the hole in the balance itself, the arm of the balance, and I'll be graving this back with a taper. And as you've seen in my other videos, I'll taper it down until I get close to the end, to the back end of the hub, and then I'll fit that. I'll mark where the balance ends and where the hairspring collet will then start. So I mark that, and then I will make sure I leave enough material to back cut. So I've got to actually back cut the resting place for the balance arms. And then I'm going to cut for the hairspring collet. That's, I think, the easier job. So cut that. Of course, if you screw it up, I've done that a few times, you have to actually compress the hairspring collet just a bit. There's tools for that. I don't think I'll bring those tools because that's a fitting thing. So the other guy is going to show how to put it all together and fit it. So I'm going to get as close as I can for doing it. And then you have to finish the pivot on the end. So I'll do a little bit of work on the pivot on the end, but not a lot, because I don't have time to actually finish the pivot for this particular balance. Then I'll do the back end of the balance, so I'll measure the width of that first diameter, where the first part where the balance rests against the widest part of the hub, and then I'll cut that, and then I'll start cutting down for the table, right? So the roller table. And I'll get that completely cut, or cut down as low as I can, and I'm going to show them how I cut that away with that file I showed you. And then turn this thing around, put it back, and then finish that other side by tapering for the actual table, the roller table. It's not easy to taper for the roller table either, because if you screw up the taper and cut too much material away, there is a method of compressing the whole of a roller table, and there's a stake that looks like a star. I think there's 5 edges to it, maybe 4. Oh, actually there's 3. I think there's 3 to it. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe I can find it. Anyway, it's a star, and you actually stamp the roller table with that, and then you rotate it again, so the 3 positions of that star are now in the center, and you stamp it again, and that is usually enough to close the roller table, enough to grab on to the balance staff that you made, right? And that's only if you take a little bit too much material off, and usually you're measuring and measuring and cutting and measuring. So I'm going to try to make the lecture not boring. Maybe I'll tell jokes while I'm doing it. My wife is going to be there to help me move equipment and stuff, because I'm going to want to box all this stuff, I'm not using my really nice pedal that I have under this current desk, which is it's actually a dentist pedal. It's a one they use for drills, so it's a very high-end, very good feel. I'm using a big-ass 4-scam pedal that I got from AliExpress for like $7. It costs like 70 in the US, but this is like $7 on AliExpress. So I bought one of those. It's a controller. It's the same damn controller that you have inside of a hand drill. You know, when you pull the trigger and it goes fast, goes a little bit fast, you pull it, it goes faster, faster, faster. Same component is in these pedals, exactly. So really then, it's the feel of the pedal itself. And the dentist pedal has that same component as the other one. So some company just makes those variable resistors. The rheostat, whatever you want to call it, it's a variable resistor, and the pedal just controls where it is. Some of them might be electronic as opposed to the windings that you'd have on some of the old ones. I actually have a really old one too with a motor, and I could use that, but I'm not going to electrocute myself in the middle of the lecture. It'll be an electrocuting lecture. So I'm going to bring all this stuff with me. I'm trying not to forget anything. I may bring extra just in case. Pack all this crap in the car, and then I'm going to bring it in, and let's see what happens at the lecture. And hopefully there's lots of really good questions. And that's, I think, it for the quick video today. I'm not going to make anything. I just wanted to tell you what I'm up to. And here's the lathe here, and I got the backup lathe already. And so we're good as go. We're good to go, Jerry. Good to go. So hopefully the audience is kind. If I make any mistakes, I'm sure they'll tell me. The only thing I probably will forget is when I do that first cut and I've got that backstop for the balance, you got to undercut it just a bit, and that undercutting ensures you don't have the arm wobbling a bit on the balance, on the rim. You undercut it just a bit so it ensures that it rests solid against that, and then you leave enough material on the other side, which means you take the balance off, you jog it sideways, and then you look down and measure how thick the arm is, and you leave enough material on the end to be able to rivet that balance on. So even if it's a friction fit balance, if you leave enough material, you can use a rounded stake, and that'll allow you to rivet that on with a rounded stake, and then follow it up by a flat stake to make sure if the balance is a little tiny bit loose, the rivet will hold it there nicely. So I'm going to make sure that that's discussed, and I'll go back with the guy that I'm doing this with, who's a pretty darn good watchmaker. So he and I are going to do high fives and trade off. So we'll see how well that works, and wish me luck, and I'll give you a report on success or failure later on. It can't fail. It can't fail. It's free, so it can't fail. So I'll see you later. Thanks for tuning into my channel, and I'll catch you on the flip side. There's a bunch of stuff there for you.